Well, guys, I've avoided it long enough. Hey guys, Real News Politics here. I am Jay. Welcome back to the show. We post every single Wednesday and tune in to get an unedited, uncensored view of what I think about the news, guys. And so let's get right into this topic. I've avoided this topic for a long time because it is going to bring a lot of backlash. I expect a lot of comments saying how horrible I am and how dare you think that. But you know what? This is free speech. And if you think it's hate speech, then I will refer you to Steven Crowder's video titled Hate Speech Does Not Exist. So go watch that. But that's not, you're probably already jumping to conclusions, so let me just get right into it. Okay, so let's talk about the possibility of crisis actors and how it can connect to what's going on right now. First of all, I want to give a huge congratulations to Republican Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis for finally being confirmed as a governor and a senator. It was a long battle against voter fraud, as we talked about in the last video, and I was a little bit worried with the hand recount that they were going to win, but despite that, it's almost exactly the same, and in fact, some polls show that they're actually more ahead now than if they hadn't done the recount. So I'm so excited that evil did not get through on that and that it all worked out. But on the other side of the continent, not the continent, well, yeah, I guess it is a continent. On the other side, what is going on that side? We have the shooting and the fire. And this is where it's going to get a little touchy, so my snowflakes better turn off right now. But this is a subject that we need to talk about. So the voter fraud was going on in Florida, and everyone was talking about it. Then what happened on the opposite side of the country? A shooting, and many people were killed. Now, am I jumping to conclusions? Let me just talk about what I think happened. I honestly think someone organized the shooting to distract us from the voter fraud. Now, this may seem like some right-wing conspiracy theory talk to you guys, but this isn't the first time I've seen these connections. This has happened many times over the past couple of years, ever since Obama's last year. That's right when I started looking into it, and I've seen these patterns continue over and over. And in fact, an issue like this is what got Alex Jones banned from everything when he was talking about the Sandy Hook murders and how the possibility that there was crisis actors there. That's what got him fired, or really banned. And honestly, even on that, I have to say I agree with him. The problem is that people that get offended automatically just jump to what they think he's trying to say, which is they think he's trying to say that, oh, no one got hurt and they're all actors. That's why they're offended. But that's not what he's trying to say. Real people did get hurt, and that's a horrible thing, but there were also crisis actors exaggerating what happened. So that the way that relates to what's going on right now is that same thing happened. One of the first people they talked to was, supposedly lost their son. She doesn't really look sad. She is angry, actually, and she, pretty much just says, yeah, my son. But what we really need to worry about is gun control. And there's just some emotions that you would have as a mother that just lost their child. You would be just out of control, weeping, and just so sad. And it is very hard to fake that. You have to be a really good actor. And most of these things, if planned, were planned very quickly, and so they didn't have time to find really good actors. And so, as clearly seen in that video, you should look it up, she just kind of talks about her kid for a little bit, but then she quickly goes over to gun control and quickly makes it a political issue. And I think the reason why all these theories have been called conspiracy theories so far is because, honestly, I don't think people realize the level of evil that the head Democrat elites can sink to. That they couldn't imagine that someone would organize a shooting, hire an assassin, and have them go shooting everyone for the express purpose of political gain. I think they just can't fathom that someone would do something that evil, and so it must not be true. Also, they think if some guy is sitting in his bedroom filming on his phone, that it's not as realistic or as accurate as a guy wearing a tie in a news studio. But with all the fake news out today, how can we trust them any more than someone that's just on their phone? That's why when I'm looking at things personally, I try to open all my eyes. I'll watch, Fox, but I'll also watch NBC, and then I'll also watch, Mark Dice on YouTube. I try to watch everybody and make my own decision on who's real, regardless of whether they're sitting on a couch or a television network, because they've been known to lie as well. So to get back to this, this was not just one incident. This has happened many times before with crisis actors. And I don't think it's on my channel. I'll have to check. But I made a video about this a few years ago, about how CNN is fake news and showing the crisis actors. That still is one of my highest viewed videos. I think I might have made it private. I might just bring it back because it has actual video showing, you can't argue with it because it's actual video showing how these different actors under different names on opposite sides of the country claiming that their different relative died. This one in particular that I was talking about was also seen in the Orlando shooting, wearing different hair, claiming to have a different family and a different name, but yet the same narrative was there, to have gun control. And so most people say, oh, well, that's a different person. But there was a complete computer analysis done of the two voices, and they match exactly. And also facial recognition was set like on a phone and then held in front of the computer, and it unlocked for both people, proving that it is the same person. This is not just a conspiracy theory, folks. This is a real issue here. And now let's get into a similar subject, which is the fires. And I know a lot of people say that, we're just jumping to conclusions because we hate Democrats. That is just not true. It used to be that we didn't like Democrats because of their political choices, and they, they had different opinions than we did. For me, I never really cared about that when it was just that. But now how it's come to extreme violence and killings, that's unacceptable. It's either, you have to choose either the party of sanity or insanity. It is no longer about opinions of political things. But this fire was just, it was so obviously a setup, because the shooting was going to be the Democrats' distraction from the voter fraud, but then they realized that there were 6 police officers very near the shooting that couldn't do anything because they were prohibited from having guns in that area. 6 police officers. Just imagine if they had guns, they could have done something. So then the Democrats realized, well, gosh, this is just an advocate for Republicans, so we got to do something more. So very near to the shooting, the fire started out of nowhere. And this is not the first fire where I think this has happened. And we're still searching for a confirmed source of the fire. And what I'm about to say gets a little sketchy when it comes to conspiracy theories, but I think there's some real backing for it. I believe the fire was caused by DEWs, which stands for DEW, or Direct Energy Weapons. Now, before you think that's a little crazy, just realize that any one of us can buy a laser pointer. And anyone knows that if you point one of those high-powered laser pointers at something for long enough, it could get hot and potentially burn. That's what we have available on the market right now. So a direct energy weapon would essentially be a giant laser pointer, a very high energy, high powered laser. It's not something out of science fiction. It's something that definitely exists. And this is not just theory, it's been seen on television. A documentary is done by Jonathan Frakes back in 2001 introducing the very first laser weapon airplane. They removed the front nose section of the airplane and replaced it with this giant ball that would shoot out and vaporize targets instantly. The purpose was warfare, to take down terrorists. And supposedly that project was canceled a few years later. It sounds to me more likely that the project actually was doing better than ever, and they just didn't want to release the results publicly. So I believe it continued, and this is the first time we're seeing it used in a public setting. There's so much evidence pointing to the possibility of these weapons. An overhead shot of the fire shows 100 different little locations of the fire. Like you would expect one giant, constant wave of fire, but it's very spread out. Also, on many of the buildings, the interior center of the building is charred, destroyed, and the outsides are perfectly okay, which would imply a laser beam coming from overhead shooting straight down into the middle of it. Also, we've seen houses completely destroyed, utterly charred, burned to the ground, yet right next to it, just a few feet over, there are trees perfectly untouched, and the next house is perfectly untouched. In a one-time fluke, yes, that can happen. But that happened over and over and over throughout the city. And again, the reason why I was hesitant to talk about this is that most people are going to say, how dare you make fun of this? It's so sad. And yes, it is sad. We feel really badly for all the people that were harmed in this. And we're so grateful for all our firefighters for working so hard to defend us from the fire. But that doesn't change where the fire may have started and who caused it. And that's often what people don't look at. They want us to be distracted by the tragedy. And how dare you not think about how it was started. So that's why it's very important. I wish I could show you pictures, and I definitely have the pictures. But right now this channel isn't my main focus, and I don't have the time to edit in those pictures. But I'm definitely going to do a follow-up on this. Everything I say is backed up with sources that I looked up. It's not just things that I'm just spouting off the top of my head. I've done a lot of research before I've talked about this, guys. So tell me what's your thoughts about this in the comments below. Am I crazy? Am I a horrible person for talking about this? Let me know. Be honest. I want to hear it all. And so we're going to try to continue talking about this. We may do another episode. I don't know. It depends. We'll have to see what develops. Either way, we post every Wednesday, and I will see you next week.
I'm the head of state. You're like a head of cabbage. About to get smacked by my stimulus package. You're a bad man with no chance. You can't even touch me. I got 4 more years. 2 terms. In the White House. Just trust me. I hope you saved your best rhymes for the second half. Because right now, I'm 47% for kicking your